Hello and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Catherine Haleko and I'm here with Terri Morrow. Say hi, Terri.
Hello.
So usually on this podcast we talk about parenting issues, but once a week Terri and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. So this week we're going to discuss an episode of The West Wing along with the West Wing Weekly podcast, and we're going to check in with our continuation of last week's challenge round. So 3 more episodes of John from Cincinnati. But first, quickly, we're going to talk about Dancing with the Stars again, even though it's not quite on yet, but the pros for next season have been announced. Not yet the stars. That is coming on September 6th.
A few of them have been leaked, but not
So,
all.
of the stars, we noticed that we're missing Sasha.
Of the pros.
I mean, the pros.
Of the
yes.
pros, yes.
We're missing Sasha, but we're gaining Alan, so...
Yeah, well, yay for Alan and boo for Sasha. I heard somebody speculate that possibly all of the stars are too tall for him.
No.
So, I hope that is, if there is, that is the reason. If it wasn't, it sounds like it was not his choice based on his Twitter feed. So, I mean, you know, it's not that he's off doing something else.
Right.
But I suppose that could be a problem if all the female stars are taller than him. That would be a little awkward.
Right.
So, I will miss him, though. I hope he's still going to be in the troupe and on TV.
Yes.
It was just sad after we had our discussion last week as to what a big part he was in the summer tour.
Right.
And then to come back and, well, we don't really need you this
Right.
season. Sorry, guy.
Yes, that is too bad. So,
Yeah.
but some of our other faves, like Sharna and Lindsay and Whitney,
Yeah.
we like the... Like, I'm not saying our favorites, like Mark. we seem to like the ladies.
And Emma. Yeah.
Yes. That's another
It's
lady.
short on ladies, so either they have a lot of, well, let's see. I think there's more men than ladies, so maybe they're having a surprise pro announced, and
Right.
from what I've heard, it's probably going to be Cheryl, so that will make it a little more even. But it's pretty much the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Mark is back.
Right.
Alan is new. Keo is still there.
Keeps on trying. Keeps on trucking.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Max and Peta are back. Were they gone? They were never gone, were they? They were on last season. I thought they were going to be gone.
But not this past one.
Right. Yeah, I thought they were going to go, raise their child, but okay, they're back.
They could
I thought
stay
Max
away.
was pretty disgusted. He seemed not fully invested last season. So, and not just because of the injury, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Okay.
Yeah, and on September 6th, so in a week, or a little less than a week, we'll find out
Yes.
who else.
Yes.
Or who that surprise is and who the actual quote-unquote stars are going to be.
So far we have a property brother and some WWE star, a wrestling woman, and I think Nick Lachey and his wife, I've heard.
Oh, okay. Speaking of famous Nicks, Nick Viall from last time.
Oh, yes.
And his bachelor partner have now split up, apparently.
Yeah, I guess they couldn't find any other way to be on TV,
Right.
so it's
over.
If you could have just landed another reality show,
Right.
they could have kept it going a little further.
Nope. The
Man,
end.
that was surprising to no one who saw them together on Dancing with the Stars, for sure.
Oh, boy.
Negative chemistry.
Yeah. So we'll wait and see who else is going to be on, and no matter what, we will be watching.
We will be watching, unless there's somebody egregious, in which case I will wait till they get eliminated to start watching. We'll see who's on.
There you go.
Hopefully it will be enjoyable.
Yeah.
And not embarrassing.
Right. So,
All right.
speaking of...
So, moving on to something that was very enjoyable and not at all embarrassing.
Right. So, The West Wing, this week's episode was called Enemies, Foreign and Domestic, and it had 2 moments in which I teared up. I don't know about you, but I am, it's not hard for that to happen for me. But no,
if this was a really good episode, I had forgotten.
It really was.
It like they said on the West Wing Weekly podcast, it had a lot of plot threads that I remembered, but I did not realize they were all in the same episode.
Right.
It's like, I remember this storyline. I remember that storyline. Mm-hmm. Who knew they were all together?
Right.
So.
Yeah. So my first occasion of misting up was when the president and CJ were talking about her Secret Service protection and how she was going to have it. And he said, "You're my family and you get it and I don't care what you say,"
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh.
Yeah. And then she still doesn't.
She hadn't seen the pictures yet, so.
And then she sees the pictures. Right. Wow, that was really a powerful scene. I really liked the way that developed because she had good points too. Right. And it's like you want to say, the president and the head of the Secret Service tell you to do that. Just shut up and say thank you. But I understand where she was coming from, too. And then as soon as she sees the pictures, it's like, okay,
right.
This is real now. And they wanted to spare her that, but they had to know that probably they would have to. So.
Right. And interesting that it was not related to her comments on Saudi Arabia,
Yeah. I feel like all the sort of CJ takes the soapbox plots from this season were all sort of leading up to this. Mm-hmm. That, she's been...
Too mouthy?
Sort of inappropriately mouthy. We've felt even sort of inappropriately mouthy a number of times. Even if she's in the right, coming on a little strong with things. Right. And I think it's all pointing, leading up to this plot line.
Right.
Now, where somebody is... whether it's something she said or just that she's very visible. It's kind of come to a head.
Right. So that was my first tier, and then my second tier was at the very end with Charlie and the president and the old man.
Yes, that was a very sweet scene, and completely worth the absolutely contrived way Charlie figured out.
Exactly.
That was, you had to do it because he has to put it together somehow, but that was...
Pittsburgh? Did someone say Pittsburgh? Yes.
Yeah. I will forgive him that because... the payoff was so wonderful.
Right. It really was fantastic. And the way the president treated the elderly man's son, like, "You're a doctor, sit in the corner and try not to charge me for anything." Wow.
Yeah.
It was like a dad joke scenario. So
definitely.
Anyway, there was that. There was the whole, world diplomacy hinging on whether people know idiomatic English or not.
Yeah. I really liked that. And I liked the way that it salvaged a Sam third banana plot and brought it to the forefront. And just the way, since I had seen it before, I could watch the way they were laying the groundwork for this. Yeah, these whole scenes where, isn't it funny? The guys don't speak this quite right. And, back and forth on the idioms. And it's just, but it's like, then you have that scene later and it's very nice and done. I really, really enjoyed that.
Pays off. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good episode with all this stuff
very
going on.
And Mark Herman.
Right. And we get Mark Herman and even Peter Scolari, right? Isn't this the one where he was...
Yes, boy. Peter Scolari looked like... That plot could have, been cut. He was on for 2 minutes. I wonder if there was more of him and it got cut, or he just happened to be on the lot that day and said, "Hey,
anything I can do.
And be a guest on the West Wing."
I'm here.
He's like such a big name for such a short scene. I mean, they talked about it quite a lot during the thing, but then he was just on there for
and that's
a minute.
It. Like,
I wonder if there was a scene between him and
come back.
No, that's it. I wonder if there were scenes between him and Leo that got cut.
Yeah.
Because Leo was talking to the president about it, so it was clear that he and Peter Scolari's character had talked. I wonder if there was another scene somewhere, because it just seems so
small. Yeah.
So small and so random, and could have really done without that scene entirely. It could have all been between Leo and Bartlett, and you never really need to see
right.
them.
Although it was
but
nice.
I guess it's like
it was nice to have it.
Yeah, but he was like
so that could take place on screen instead of just hearing about it secondhand.
Yeah, and he did very well with what teeny tiny little thing he had to do.
Yes.
But it's like, I feel like there's a story there somewhere as to why that was so short. There was a lot in that episode.
There really was. There was.
And, yeah.
Oh, and then there was the whole Toby with the journalist thing happen.
Yeah. They could have cut that and had more Peter Scolari, I think.
I would agree.
I would have adjusted the balance of those two plot lines.
Yeah, but that's the one, remember, where it started out with Toby being like, I have nothing to do.
Yes.
I have done everything.
Yes. I feel like we've seen that before.
Yeah. Maybe we have.
Don't give these guys time off. Trouble
yes,
ensues.
Exactly.
But,
yeah, so...
That's it's one of those, it's like putting things in position for the final episodes. Right. But very, very enjoyably.
Yeah, a nice...
And we do see lots more of Mark Harmon. So that was just a little intro to his character.
Taste.
But I like the way he interacts with her. And, that he's definitely going to do the job well, but he's kind of able to banter as well. Ability to banter being an important thing in this
Sorkin show, so...
He does decently by the Sorkin.
Is expected. So
that's right. When they interview the Secret Service agents, you're going to have to banter. Are you up to the banter? Simon Donovan can handle the banter.
So that was number 18 on the season. So only a couple more.
Yeah,
before we get to the end.
It's coming up.
The next one is called the Black Vera Wang. So.
Yes.
Interesting.
Is that how you pronounce her name?
I believe it's Wang.
I've always heard it Wang, but I could be wrong.
I could be wrong.
I've been pronouncing it wrong all this time. The black dress by a designer.
Right. I did used to enjoy walking by the store on, I believe, Madison Avenue when I lived in Manhattan and checking out the wedding dresses in the window. That's what I think of when I see that name. So
yes,
and she was a figure skater.
Ah. Well, there you go. Well, she's right up your alley. Exactly. Well, I hope it's not too much of a spoiler that in this episode we see CJ's niece, and she is played by Evan Rachel Wood. So if you're a fan of her, she's coming out.
Interesting. Okay.
For one episode.
Good. So
something to look forward to.
Yes. So now, should we take our sharp left turn over from Washington to Imperial Beach, California?
Yes.
John from Cincinnati. So we watched 3 more episodes. After Terri challenged me to watch the first 3 as part of a challenge round, we agreed that I could say I'm out, or I could say, well, I'm curious as to what the heck is going on. I'll watch some more. And so that is what happened, and I watched some more, and I have much less of a grasp on what is going on. I would say.
Are you regretting this decision now?
I'm not regretting it, but whoa.
Sometimes you have to let art flow over you. This is the very essence of that. Yeah. Episodes 4 and 5 were relatively straightforward. Got a lot of plot points taken care of. Also, John is sort of, after having seemed very naive and, possibly even intellectually challenged in the first couple of episodes, he's definitely gaining power and weirdness.
Yes.
And almost ominousness sometimes in these. It's pretty clear that he's not just some guy.
My surf student.
Yes, exactly.
That's what Butchie keeps calling him. My surf student.
Yeah. He's teleporting. He's putting people in trances. He's healing. He's doing all sorts of things. Yes. And then at the end of these 3 episodes, giving a speech that is quite something.
It is. It is something. And, it was one of those things where I felt like I could probably watch this like 5 more times.
Yes.
And still be scratching my head over what is happening here.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, I mean, like, some of my questions include, was he visible and audible to the people who were there? Because they kind of looked like they couldn't see him. I
don't think that he is supposed to be. At the end, he says, "You will not remember." He seems to suggest that they're not going to remember the specifics of this event, but they will remember the gist of what he said, and it's going to kind of reposition their lives.
Right.
So there's a lot of, obviously there's the dead guy or whatever from the hotel room that's just sitting there, which obviously nobody else is seeing that.
Right.
Various characters who probably would not be there, like the guy from the van, and then at the very, very end, behind where Butchie and Kai are sitting, is like a tableau of the Yost family. They're obviously not there, so it's like sort of a dream sequence, I guess, or a trance sequence. Because sometimes they're sort of going about their basic cookout stuff. Yeah. But I don't think he's also still in the van, and he's also in Cass's room. He's sort of all over the place. Right. So I don't know. I believe it's supposed to be, we see him there and he's talking and they're receiving his message, but not like they're sitting listening to a evening chat around the barbecue.
Which doesn't one of the barriers or the lawyer say, like, we should make this a regular thing?
Like, it's the owner of the motel that says it. Yeah. It's, it's weird. And it's also, I love the way it's like an extension sort of this speech that where he repeats snippets of things. And this sort of weaves a lot of them together, a lot of the things that he's been saying and a lot of things that other people have been saying, and kind of twisting them and turning them. It's really interesting. And I, this time, saw something on YouTube, which is David Milch explaining it, which honestly doesn't help necessarily make it more clear. And it's just funny to me because this is why it's like, it kind of takes some of the buzz off it, because in the background while he's explaining this are all these actors looking like, oh, can we just shoot the bleeping thing and just
can
go
you
home?
Stop yakking?
And these are all his players, just like Sorkin has his people. Most of these people have been in other of his projects, so I know they appreciate his work and revere him to some degree, but they all just looked really uncomfortable, or else it was like, it's like in the actual thing, maybe he's not really there. Maybe they're just milling about the set. Right. You will not remember this until you need to say your lines. Right. But so, it seemed like it was on some level about art, the lines and the circles on the wall starting out as being like cave paintings and then moving on to actual artistic representations of things, moving up to words and then, photos and film, and that it's possible to represent something in a way that it didn't actually happen, to sort of, show how things should be, and that this whole experience is going to sort of make over their lives so that these terrible things that have happened will be rewritten to something more spiritually useful, and that they will then take this, they've been chosen to sort of then take this out into the world. So that was my understanding of what he was saying, though I would have to listen to it 10 or 15 more times to actually understand what he was saying about the thing that I've already listened to 10 or 15 times. And it's sort of mesmerizing. The language on this show, even though it's often extremely crude and, full of expletives, has a certain beauty to it. It's not naturalistic a lot of the time, but it's sort of, I just can't get enough of it. Once I get in a groove of watching it, I just want to hear more of it. I want to see these people saying these lines. Right. And that speech is that way too. And I also really love, earlier in the episode, there's a little speech that John gives to Sissy, which could have been just a really awkward information dump because it shares a key relationship note.
Yes.
But it's done in the voice of the radio commercial that John had just been listening to. And just such a cool way to do that, because you have to get that piece of information out. But it's just a cool way to, and then when he says all these terrible things about her life, don't you really hate this? Don't you want to kill yourself? And she's nodding, and he says, we prefer you don't. We wish you wouldn't. Our offer is keep going, feeling just as miserable or worse.
Right.
So, and as a bonus, you will receive his love. So I kind of like that, because it's like, there's times when I'm going to use that. It's like, no, you have to go on feeling just as lousy as you do now. It's not going to magically change. But then the speech at the end.
Keep going.
Yeah, the speech at the end suggests that it may actually change. So,
and you also had the interaction between Joe, Vietnam Joe, and the bartender at the VFW, who was just so gentle with him and so able to, kind of talk him down from his paranoia that he was experiencing. And he just, he was so sensitive, and, the way he was able to calm him down. And, I just thought that was a really beautiful scene.
It really was.
Interaction between those two people.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's sort of what this is pointing to is positive connections between people, even on very unlikely people. I know when he was in the description Milch was doing of the meaning of the speech, one thing he mentioned is that these prejudices that we have and putting people in certain categories, and that this was sort of going to overcome that. And this, this sort of motley crew that's been brought together of often very unlikely people, and people that we would not think much of.
Like Bill and Freddie, Zippy says we have to be, my bird says we're going to be friends. Like, one's a police officer who's perhaps suffering from dementia. The other one's a career criminal. Like, they're going to make beautiful music together.
That's right. I'm here on orders from my bird, he says.
My bird.
There's so many great lines in these. I really enjoy it.
Yes.
I enjoy listening to it. And so you finally, I know in the last episode you were asking about Sean's mother, and she shows up at the very end of episode 4, and then is the main focus of episode 5.
Yep, we get her, find out some of the backstory on her. That prompts so much of Sissy's freak out, and, her showing up. And there's at least in episode 5 or 6, 6, that was the last one we watched.
Yeah.
There's no Mitch at all. I mean,
yes,
he's just...
and nobody is sad.
Right. No one's like, what happened to that guy? Oh, who cares?
I realized last week I talked about the girl who's trying to con you can't even stand you, and that really was more of an episode 4 thing, just when Cass is having to sleep with him for their con, and it just looks like, oh my god, you big bag of hot air, just go away.
Gross. Yeah, exactly.
And then when she kicks him out and brings John in.
And she creates a zone for him to stay in.
Yeah. But I love Mitch's. I don't like much about Mitch, but I loved his line. Do you need to stand aside for me to pass, or are you just going to part like the Red Sea?
Right.
It's like somebody actually
he
calling
knows
it
something.
Yes. Something.
He's figuring this out more than some other
There's
people are.
There's something going on with this guy.
He's so spiritual, Mitch.
It's such a pain.
So we're going to keep going. We're going to watch two more.
Yes, and we have some posts to share about it. I enjoyed reading Sepinwall's post about it for these 2 lines especially. The first line of his post was, I am confused, I am baffled, I am enthralled, I am still confused. This was about episode 6. And then it followed that by, what the hell was that? And why did I love it so much?
Yes.
So that's the way I feel about it too. But I also wanted to mention that I haven't been too crazy about the character of Cass in general. Emily Rose is somebody I've she was on Brothers and Sisters playing an extremely annoying character also. And so don't have that much use for her, but that scene where she has work she needs to do, but it's just not coming. And so she raids the minibar and she gets room service and she lays down on the bed and she does all this stuff. It's like, that has been me so many times. Sister, I feel you there.
And you know, all this, like, how she's going to convert filming random stuff with her camera into, like, immediate cash money that she can use to pay her hotel bill.
Yes.
Is yet another mystery.
Right. Well, many more mystery. And we got 3 new characters in the 6th episode, too. Jennifer Grey playing the lawyer's
fiance.
Mm-hmm. And then these 2 characters at the
coffee shop,
previously unseen coffee shop,
right?
Who both, I know the waitress was somebody from Deadwood. I'm not sure about the guy, but they will figure prominently going forward. But seems odd point in 10 episodes to be introducing new people. But hello,
right?
What more unlikely?
What isn't odd about
That's
all
true.
this?
It is. I find it delightfully odd. I know many people found it annoyingly odd, but it does have it does hang together to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I'm curious to keep going, so that's what we're going to do.
You're more than halfway through.
Right. So we're going to do 2 more for next week, and then we'll finish it up the following week.
And you know what else I forgot to mention last week that I wanted to make sure to this week is the intro. Have you been watching the intro? You haven't been speaking through it, have you? I think
the song and the surfing
and the surf images. I think that is the one thing about this show that most people agree is fantastic.
It is.
The music and the images together are just so cool. Yes. Really, I periodically go on YouTube and find that and watch it just because it's so neat. So if nothing else, you know, you got about 45 seconds that you're going to like before it gets into the WTF of it all. But I'm in. Anyway, I'm enjoying watching it again.
Good.
And thank you for continuing. And not cursing me, although maybe you are silently.
No, I'm not.
Good.
So we are going to pick back up with our challenge round, though. So we skipped it last week since we watched 3 of these episodes, and that was a lot. But
yes,
for next time, we're going to watch 2 episodes. So we are going to pick up another challenge round, and
your turn.
I am choosing the movie Amélie from 2001. In many ways, the complete polar opposite of John from Cincinnati, because it is very, very, like, clean and happy. Not always happy, but it's very, very, like, clean and cute, you know, in a way that obviously John from Cincinnati.
It's a palate cleanser after watching John from Cincinnati.
But it has the surreality to it that John from Cincinnati also has. So that's the connection that I'm drawing between the 2 of them.
Okay. This is the one that was just made into a Broadway show, right?
It was with Philippa Sue. Yes. Yeah. That didn't
gone
last.
Now, but
yes, it is. And it's on Netflix. It is in French. So you're going to have a hard time doing many things at the same time.
Well, I just lost a job, so we're good. I got plenty of... As of Friday, I'll have plenty of time.
But it's enjoyable. You know, it's sort of very light, but it does deal with, like, the meaning of life. I mean, that might be a heavy... that might be a difficult...
A light little comedy about the meaning of life.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch, but you'll see. You'll see.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. So we will watch that, plus those 2 episodes of John from Cincinnati and the
Which
West
are,
Wing.
Let's see, his visit day 6 and day 7?
Day 7. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I believe that's right. And the West Wing. So that's going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and weekly group chats. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Goodbye, Terri.
Goodbye, Catherine.
Goodbye, everyone.